Everybody start making their way in. Everybody come on in. We're getting ready to start. Everybody make your way in. Let's get ready to worship. In this corner. Yeet. Do you smell? All right. So glad that everybody is here with us tonight. How's everybody doing? Oh, that doesn't sound very good. So, I don't know if you know, but I'm going to tell you. I heard the most frightening news of all news. Scarier than election fraud. More devastating than killer hornets. Worse than COVID ever could be. Julia Weekly has a license. Don't go on the roads. Don't go out at night. Stay home. Lock up your children. Because you don't want to experience the terror that will be unleashed on the Polk County roads by the Weekly. All right. So let's go through some announcements before we do some worship. All right, so Winter Retreat. I've said it every week. I'm going to keep saying it until we get to Winter Retreat. You need to pressure, beg, whatever you got to do, blackmail your parents to register you for Winter Retreat, okay? Well, you can register almost up to the very end, but if you want a t-shirt, are y'all listening to me or are you talking to each other? If you want a t-shirt, you need to register soon because I'm going to have to order the t-shirts probably in the next week or so so that they get here in time. So if you want a t-shirt, please register for Winter Retreat. It's only a $25 deposit. You don't have to pay the whole amount. So if you've never been to Winter Retreat and you're like, man, I don't really know if that's for me or not, talk to everybody who's been to Winter Retreat. They are going to tell you it's for you and that you absolutely, positively need to go. This is the one event that we do as Soteria that you are, I'm telling you, you don't want to miss it. You just don't want to miss it. It's powerful, it's amazing. God does great things through it. So make sure you text your parents, tell your parents, whatever you got to do to register for Winter Retreat. If you can't afford Winter Retreat, come and talk to me, okay? We do have scholarships available, so I don't want anybody who can't afford to go, who wants to go, not to be able to go. So if you can't afford it, let me know. We'll take care of it, okay? So next slide. These are important announcements that I really need you to pay attention to. So next week is what? Thanksgiving. We're not having youth, okay? There's no youth next week, all right? No youth next week because you're going to be in your COVID crock pot of your Thanksgiving dinner with your family, right? Okay? So there's no youth next week, all right? But the week after, which is December the 2nd, we come back. We are decorating at the Hub House. So you need to come here to the church. We're going to get on the bus, drive over to the Hub House, and we're going to decorate the Hub House for the Homework Club kids. And then the week after that, we're going to host a Christmas party for the Homework Club kids, okay? You need to be at the church by 6 p.m. in order for us to get over there in time to host. So take a picture of this right now with your phone, put it in your reminder, email it to your parents, whatever you have to do to remember, especially the last one. Bring a $10 gender-neutral gift, okay? I really need you to make sure you don't forget the gift. Are y'all listening to me? Because I know how it is. I say these announcements, and I sound like Charlie Brown's teacher, wah, 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 wah. And then you leave here, and you didn't hear what I had to say, or you forgot what I said. And then you'll show up that week, and you'll be like, oh, Pastor Dave, I forgot a gift. And I'm going to go, well, you really made a homework club kid cry. Okay? Because we need to make sure we have enough gifts for them, okay? So please do not forget the gifts. So take a picture. Put a reminder in your phone. You're the most technology advanced generation of kids that have ever been. You should never forget anything in your life because you've got enough devices to remind you 1,000 times. Okay? Everybody got me? What are we not going to forget? Okay. Awesome. All right, last one. December the 16th. You are invited to your Christmas party, which will be here from 6:30 to 8 p.m. It's a fabulous time, full of games, gifts, prizes, cookies, chocolate milk, all of it. All right? So it's going to be a fun time. You're not going to want to miss that. All right? Okay? Everybody good? We awake? Everybody ready to worship tonight? Oh, that was bad. Let me try again. Everybody ready to worship tonight? All right. Worship band, come on up. We're worshiping now. Luke will do it better than me. I'll try again. What? You bought what? Glow sticks? Yeah, you can hand them out. I don't care.
What's up, Lakin? How are you doing? That's great. I'm so glad. I know, I wore a hat on purpose. I'm not doing the hair flip. No, where's Taylor? I'm going to beatbox to you then. We are avoiding that song, Zach. We are. Trust me.
Everyone crack up their glow sticks. We're going to have a party because I was thinking, I was like, so everyone's never hype enough. No one's ever excited to worship. I'm not feeling the energy. So if I bring glow sticks and everyone can really have a party. And did it work? Did it work? And, okay. The first song is one that I know we all truly love. It's one that'll get you moving. So now you can move and glow.
Or glow and move. Or glow and move.
Actually. Okay. I got you. Everybody should totally, unless you don't feel comfortable, of course, because, COVID. But come up to the front, get out of your seat. Don't be constrained to your seat. I'm just trying to get everyone out of their comfort zone because I want everyone to be comfortable, So you can come out to the sides, come up to the front, come out of your row. Come on, guys, you got it. Come on. Come on, everyone, 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 everyone. Do I? Okay, yeah, that'll get them. Come on, go.
Y'all gonna worship tonight.
Yeah.
And I've got a river of living water, a fountain that never will run dry. And it's an open heaven we're releasing, and we will never be denied. 'Cause we're stirring up deep, deep wells. We're stirring up deep, deep waters. We're gonna dance.
Come on, everyone, you gotta dance.
Dance in the river. 'Cause we're stirring up deep, deep wells. We're stirring up deep, deep waters. We're gonna jump.
Everyone jump.
In the river. Jump in. And everybody's singing now. Deep cries out. Yeah, deep cries out to you. Deep cries out. Yeah, deep cries out to you. We cry out. Yeah, we cry out to you, Jesus. And I got a river of living water, a fountain that never will run dry. It's an open heaven we're releasing, and we will never be denied. Stir it up. 'Cause we're stirring up deep, deep wells. We're stirring up deep, deep waters. We're gonna dance in the river. Dance in the river. 'Cause we're stirring up deep, deep wells. We're stirring up deep, deep waters. We're gonna jump in the river. Jump in the river. 'Cause deep cries out. Deep cries out to you. Deep cries out. The deep cries out to you. We cry out. And we cry out to you, Jesus. Deep cries out. Deep cries out to you. Deep cries out. Yeah, deep cries out to you. We cry out. Yeah, we cry out to you, Jesus. We're walking into deeper waters, calling out to you. We're walking into deeper waters, going out to you. Yeah. Here we go. And if it goes to the left, then we're going to the left. And if it goes to the right, then we're going to the right. We're gonna jump, 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 jump in the river. Jump, 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 everybody. If it goes to the left, then we're going to the left. And if it goes to the right, then we're going to the right. We're gonna dance, 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 dance in the river. Dance, 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 everybody. If it goes to the left, then we're going to the left. And if it goes to the right, then we're going to the right. We're gonna jump, 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 jump in the river. Jump, 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 everybody. If it goes to the left, then we're going to the left. And if it goes to the right, then we're going to the right. We're gonna shout, 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 shout in the river. Shout, 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 yeah. cries out, your deep cries out to you. Deep cries out, your deep cries out to you. We cry out, and we cry out to you, Jesus. And deep cries out, your deep cries out to you. Deep cries out, your deep cries out to you. We cry out, and we cry out to you, Jesus.
Okay, so now that we've danced for Jesus, I know every other week I've kind of, I've been trying to push you guys out of your comfort zone to like spend some time with God in worship. This week, I'm gonna ask that you guys actually move into like a spot by yourself. Don't be next to your friends, so you can truly just worship to God and not be afraid of who's around you, not be afraid of what everyone's, if anybody's looking at you, because nobody's looking at you. You can go anywhere in the whole room. I want everyone to surrender to God. Everyone's worship looks different. Not everyone's is raising their hands. Not everyone's is moving around a lot. It can just be whatever it is for you. It's something that's personal. And God loves any way that you worship. So just be alone with Him and don't be afraid of what everyone's thinking about you.
Did not speak, you made no sound. You died for your accusers, and as your blood fell to the ground, you redefined my future. Darkness ran for cover, for the King of Kings has claimed His throne, from now until forever. 'Cause you are worthy. You are worthy of your name. Yes, you are worthy. Yeah. You are worthy of your name, Jesus. You're my author, my maker, my ransom, my Savior, my refuge, my hiding place. You're my helper, my healer, my blessed Redeemer, my answer, my saving grace. You're my hope in the shadow, my strength in the battle, my anchor for all my days. And you stand by my side and you stood in my place. Jesus, no other name. Only Jesus, no other name. 'Cause you are worthy. You are worthy of your name. Yes, you are worthy. Yeah. You are worthy of your name. Yes, you are worthy. Yes, you are worthy of your name. Yes, you are worthy. You are worthy of your name, Jesus.
Worthy of every song we could ever sing. Worthy of all the praise we could ever bring. Worthy of every breath we could ever breathe. We live for you. Jesus, the name above every other name. Jesus, the only one who could ever save. Worthy of every breath we could ever breathe. We live for you. Oh, we live for you. Holy, there is no one like you. There is none beside you. Open up my eyes in wonder and show me who you are and fill me with your heart and lead me in your love to those around me. Worthy of every song we could ever sing. Worthy of all the praise we could ever bring. Worthy of every breath we could ever breathe. We live for you. Jesus, the name above every other name. Jesus, the only one who could ever save. Worthy of every breath we could ever breathe. We live for you. Oh, we live for you. Holy, there is no one like you. There is none beside you. Open up my eyes in up my eyes in wonder and show me who you are and fill me with your heart and lead me in your love to those around me. And holy, there is no one like you. There is none beside you. Open up my eyes in wonder. Show me who you are and fill me with your heart and lead me in your love to those around me. I will build my life upon your love. It is a firm foundation. I will put my trust in you alone, and I will not be shaken. Dear Lord, thank you for always just showing up and never letting us down. You always do what's best for us, and you always love us no matter how much we push you away. And I know, like, I push you away a lot, God, but you still love me no matter what. And you're still there with your arms wide open, just waiting for me to come to you. You're yelling my name, you're yelling their name, just waiting for them to come to you. Lord, I pray and hope that they'll know that you love them so much. It's something that we can easily forget. We get caught up in the negativity in the world, and we forget how much you really, truly love us and that you sent your son for us. I pray that everyone can just let go and focus on you, because you will never let them down. In Jesus' name, amen.
Up here. You're going to need one. And then everybody should have a writing utensil of some kind if that part of the process happened today. So I need some volunteers for the game. We're going to go by twos. Mr. Nick, long time no see. And you girls, I'm just letting you know right now, I don't know none of y'all's names, and I'm really sorry. So you with the sweater, University of Roma? You with the face. What is your name? Kylie. Okay, you guys got to come up. You're going to need a mic. Can I get this one turned on? No, you can be here. So here's how this goes. Did I use this last time? Okay. So I'm going to give you a story to read. On the story, there's one little thing that I've written that'll help you read it in a certain way. And then at the end, they're going to read the same story. At the end, you guys are going to vote for which one read it best. The bestest storyteller. We'll let ladies go first, man. Come on. Oh, no, she would rather you go first. We'll let the lady choose first then. Is that on? Do you have to press a button or something? How many monkeys does it take? There we go.
Hey.
There we go.
Hello. Can you hear me?
Okay.
Okay. No?
Yep, we're good.
Oh,
No,
okay.
we could hear
Somebody
you.
said no. Okay. Go ahead.
Yeah, man.
All right.
Hold on, first, did you read the note?
Yes, sir.
Okay, go for it.
Okay.
There once was a speedy hare who bragged about how fast he could run. Tired of hearing him boast, slow and steady, the tortoise challenged him to a race. All the animals in the forest gathered to watch. Hare ran down the road for a while and then paused to rest. He looked back at the slow and steady and then cried out, "How do you expect to win this race when you are already walking at your slow and steady pace?" Hare stretched himself out alongside the road and fell asleep, thinking, "There's plenty of time to relax." Slow and steady, he walked and walked. He never ever stopped until he came to the finish line. The animals who were watching cheered so loudly for the tortoise they woke up Hare. Hare stretched up and yawned and began to run away. But it was too late. Tortoise was over the line. After that, Hare always reminded himself, don't brag about your lightning pace, for slow and steady wins a race.
Boom. All right, good job. All right.
Bars.
Next. She does. Even faster. Yeah,
Well,
go for it.
there once was a speedy hare who bragged about how fast he could run. Tired of hearing him boast, slow and steady, the tortoise challenged him to a race. All the animals in the forest gathered to watch. Hare ran down the road for a while and then paused to rest. He looked back at the slow and steady and cried out, "How do you expect to win this race when you are walking along at your slow pace?" Hare stretched himself out alongside the road and fell asleep, thinking, "There is plenty of time to relax." Slow and steady walked and walked. He never ever stopped until he came to the finish line. The animals who were watching cheered out loudly for the tortoise. They woke up Hare. Hare stretched out and yawned and began to run again, but it was too late. Tortoise was over the line. After that, Hare was always reminding himself, don't brag about your lightning pace, for slow and steady wins the race.
Boom. Got it. Reading fast is hard, yeah? Okay. All right, so for Nearly Headless Nick, we're voting now. This is the vote. We'll do hands for Nick. Better storyteller on this one. Okay, that's probably majority. Kaylee with a K, Kylie with a Y, and some other letters. Yep. Okay, so for Kylie. Okay, Nick, you're the speed reader. All right, 2 more. We have 3 more of these to read. Different. Not this one's not speed reading. Yeah, you guys are. Thank you very much. Holy smokes, dude. That's the. Dang. Okay. Julia. And Aiden. Oh, yes. Yes. You might be all right at this one, Julia. We'll see. Knowing who your daddy is. Here we go. Oh, you have to be over here? Yeah? All right. You got it.
There once was a shepherd boy who was bored as he sat on the hillside watching village sheep. To amuse himself, he took a great bath and sang out, "Wolf! Wolf, the wolf is chasing me!" Or chasing the sheep. The villagers came running up the hill to help the boy drive the wolf away. But when they arrived at the top of the hill, they found no wolf. The boy laughed at the sight of their angry faces. "Don't cry wolf, shepherd boy," said the villagers, "when there's no wolf." They went grumbling back down the hill. Later, the boy sang out again, "Wolf, wolf, the wolf is chasing the sheep." To his naughty delight, he watched the villagers run up the hill to help him drive the wolf away. When the villagers saw no wolf, they sternly said, "Save your frightened song for when there's really something wrong. Don't cry wolf when there is no wolf." Okay. But the boy just grinned and watched them go grumbling down the hill once more. Later, he saw a real wolf prowling about his flock. Alarmed, he leapt to his feet and sang out loudly as he could, "Wolf! Wolf!" But the villagers thought he was trying to fool them again, so they didn't come. At sunset, everyone wondered why the shepherd boy hadn't returned to the village with their sheep. They went up to the hill to find the boy. They found him weeping. "There really was a wolf here. The flock is scattered. I cried out, 'Wolf, why didn't y'all come?' An old man tried to comfort the boy as they walked back to the village. "Well, we'll help you look for the lost sheep in the morning," he said, putting his arm around the youth. "Nobody believes a liar, even when he is telling the truth."
All right, Reba McIntyre, good job. All right, what you got, man?
Are y'all ready?
I don't know if y'all heard this story before. It's called The Boy Who Cried Wolf. There once was a shepherd boy who was bored, and he sat on the hillside watching the veiled sheep. To amuse himself, he looked at the great breast and sang out, "Wolf, wolf!" The wolf was chasing the sheep. The villagers came running up the hill to help the boy drive the wolf away. But when he came out to the top of the hill, they found no wolf. The boy laughed at the sight of their angry faces. "Don't cry, wolf, shepherd boy," said the villagers. When there's no wolf, they said that they went grumbling back down the hill. Later, the boy sang out again, "Wolf, wolf!" The wolf was chasing sheep. To his naughty delight, he watched the villagers run up the hill to help him drive the wolf away. When the villagers saw no wolf, they sternly said, "Save your frightened song for when there's really something wrong. Don't cry, wolf, when there's no wolf." But the boy just grinned and watched them go grumbling down the hill once more. Later, he saw a real wolf prowling about his flock. Alarmed, he leapt to his feet and sang out loud he could, "Wolf, wolf!" But the villagers thought he was trying to fool them again, so they didn't come. At the sunset, everybody wondered why the shepherd boy hadn't returned to the village with their sheep. They went up the hill to find the boy. They found him weeping. There was a wolf here. The flock scattered, I cried out. "Wolf, why didn't you come?" The old man tried to comfort the boy as they walked back to the village. "We'll help you look for the lost sheep in the morning," he said, putting his arm around the youth. "No one believes a liar, even when he's telling the truth." Thank y'all for listening.
Boom. Wow. This is going to be a hard one. All right, Julia. Oh. For Julia first. Julia voters. Mr. Aiden. Oh, you do. Okay, Julia's the winner. That was good. You guys both did really good. All right, so the next one we have. All right, my man. You guys are going to get my favorite one. It doesn't matter. What's your name, buddy? You don't want to go? That's your name? All right, yeah, I don't want to go. All right, Andy Gage? Yes. Yes. Oh. You don't know what this, you've never seen one of these before? Jen, just make it up.
What does a clown even sound like? A what? What does a clown even sound like?
You're trying to be funny. Hey, 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 kids. Okay, you got this. You can do it.
A slave name. I don't know how to say that.
What? Oh, I'm sorry. Androcles. You can just make up a name. I
A
don't really
slave named Androcles once escaped from his master and fled to the forest. As he was wandering about there, he came up a lion laying down, moaning and groaning. At first he tuned to flee, but finding the lion did not pursue him. He turned back and went up to him. As he came near, the lion put his paw, which had... I'm terrible at this.
Pretend like you're reading a little kids then. Not much different.
Read that
But
either. The lion put his paw, which was all swollen and bleeding, as Lorchclois found that his huge thorn had got onto it. And as was causing all the pain, he pulled the thorn and bound up the paw of the lion, who was soon able to rise and lick his hand of Lorchclois like a dog. Then the lion took Lorchclois to his cave and every day used to bring him meat, which watched from which to live. I can't read, y'all. But shortly afterwards, both Lorchclois and the lion were captured, and the slave was sentenced to be thrown to the lion after he laddered had been kept without food for several days. The emperor and his court came to see speculate, and I can't
what's
read,
that?
y'all.
It's okay. Where are you at? spectacle.
You want to finish this?
No, it's okay. You don't have to finish it.
Okay, good.
The point isn't really the story. It's just to hear someone trying to tell it.
Am I allowed to tell them what it's supposed to be?
No, you can do your bestest. She did.
COVID. No recording, period. I heard that. I heard that. Negative, Tom. Sit down.
All right, go for it, buddy. You got this.
Thank you, Brandon. Okay. I don't know what this sounds like, so I'm just going to read it.
Go for it, man.
A slave named Androcles once escaped from his master and fled into the forest. As he went wandering around, there came about a lion laying down all moaning and groaning. As he first turned to flee, but finding the lion did not pursue him, he turned back and went up to him. As he came near, the lion put out his paw, which was all swollen and bleeding. Androcles found that a huge thorn had gotten into it and was causing all the pain. He pulled out the thorn and bound up the paw of the lion. Now he was able to rise and lick Androcles' hand like a dog. Then the lion took Androcles to his cave and every day bring him meat from the outside in which to live. Shortly afterwards, both Androcles and the lion were captured. The slave was sentenced to be thrown to the lion, which had been kept without food for several days. The emperor and all of his court came to see the spectacle, and Androcles was led out into the middle of the arena. Soon the lion was let loose from his den, rushed, bounding and roaring towards his victim. But as soon as he came near to Androcles, he recognized his friend, fawned upon him, and licked his hands like a friendly dog. The emperor, surprised at this, summoned Androcles to him, who told him the whole story, whereupon the slave was pardoned and freed, and the lion was let loose to his native forest.
All right. They don't know how to talk like a clown. It's okay. It's all right. You did. So here's the deal. We're not going to vote. You did. Okay. All right, let's vote. Gage. Okay. You stuck it out. Here you go. You get the generous. Thank you. Thank you, guys. Does this turn itself off? Do I have to press a button? Okay. Okay. So, can we get the slideshow thingy? Okay. So, that was hard, right? Telling a story in a different voice. I don't know where these go. We'll put it right there. Okay, so a good storyteller can make or break a story, right? Have you guys ever heard someone trying to tell a story and you're just like, I bet that was really good, but listening to you makes me think, like, I don't know what you're even talking about. Or listening to somebody try to tell a story in a weird, funny voice, it's hard to follow, hard to understand. So a good storyteller, they're going to be interesting, funny, compelling. They're going to think about what they say, and they're going to think about how they're going to say it, right? Makes a big difference. So who do you guys, like, when they speak, you just listen to them? Like your dad? Your dad would fit the bill for all of us. Any other person that you guys would? Yes. What about Morgan Freeman? It's just that voice, right? And here's the other thing about Morgan Freeman. Nobody pays him to say dumb stuff. Like, it's always like some deep thing, and then you're like, I just need to go think about what he just said, right? That's a really great example. So far, we've been in this series of being an influencer, right? So far, we've talked about influencers are humble. They're not arrogant. We did not talk about that they chase good, not evil. I mentioned it, but we kind of skipped that one. And then last week you guys should have talked about how influencers live, not love. They love big. They live small and they dream big. And you guys should know by now, you're already an influencer in some way, shape, or form, right? Everybody knows that. You influence at least your friends. Think about when you're sitting next to a friend and they start goofing around. Is it hard to not goof with them or to laugh or whatever, right? So you are an influencer, and your actions matter to the people that you're around. And have you ever really thought that maybe you're around people that God put you around on purpose, right? Here's a weird thought that maybe I'm just a weirdo, and I tell this to my kids, like, there's going to come a day when I'm not your dad. Like, I'm going to be your brother. Like, 2 million years from now, am I still going to be your dad? I'm going to be your brother in Christ who God put me in authority as your father figure here on the planet Earth for a time, for a purpose, for a reason. And you're going to have kids, and it's all going to be the same. Right? I think I'll remember that God gave me that responsibility, and I'll be happy about it. But really, like, am I going to be bossing Braxton, Melissa, Daniel around in heaven? I might try, but I don't think it's going to work, right? I don't think it's going to matter. But God put me in their life to be one of their major influencers, I hope and pray. So God puts specific people in your life, in your path, because you're who you are right here, right now. Does that make sense? So the question is what kind of influencer you're going to be. And more importantly than that is whose story are you really going to tell? That's probably the biggest question you want to ask. You're telling a story with your life already, right? You guys are aware of that? When you're a grandparent and you're talking to your grandchildren, you're probably going to be telling life stories. You hear me tell a lot of life stories up here. That's because that's what they become. Everything you do now becomes a story. It becomes a memory. And it's something that you're going to want to share if it's good, if it's a good thing to share. So that leads you to question, am I doing things worth sharing to others? Am I intentional about the kind of story I'm telling with my life? And are you aware that you are a part of a bigger story? In this world, we all think the whole world revolves around us. Back in the day, I knew this wasn't true, but this is how narcissistic and arrogant I was. I liked to tell people just because it was fun, not because I thought it was true. You don't really exist. My brain created you, so when you go away and come back with things you say, it's because I made that stuff up. And now, these are things you say when you're doing things you shouldn't be doing and you're kind of in places you don't belong. But it was just fun to talk about. But it shows, even though it was a joke, it's still a sliver of how we all feel sometimes, that the world revolves around us. And if it doesn't affect me, then it doesn't matter. Or maybe it doesn't matter quite as much. And we live our lives, and they're our lives, not the life that God gave me to live with other people. I think that's something that every human being struggles with, because everywhere you go, you're with yourself, right? So naturally, you think about yourself more than other people most of the time. Cool thought that I love to have. When you think about your story that you're building in your life right now, that you're a part of, have you thought of, one, who you're going to get to share it with? Have you really thought about what you want that story to look like? And have you held yourself accountable to that thought process? And I'm not talking just here. Someday I'm going to talk to my grandkids and I can tell them how your dad and your mom almost didn't even exist. This is how I met your grandmother, and it was because I was at this place when God wanted me to be there, and if it wasn't for that, none of that would be, you wouldn't be here. I mean, that's a cool thought. But let's take it to eternity. Do you know who you're going to get to share your story with in heaven? Or whose story you're going to get to hear? Like Moses, dude, 40 years, God made you go be a shepherd for 40 years. What happened? He's probably got a lot of stories about that 40 years, but it's not in the Bible. We don't get that right now, right? But here's what I like to think of. David, you killed Goliath. That's pretty awesome. I read why you said to King Saul, like, you killed a lion, you killed a bear, and you felt like this was on, you could see God's path for your life and that it led to that moment. You could see that. But you still picked up 5 rocks, man. Like, I'm just curious, how were you feeling? I want to hear his story, but I want to live a life that when he's done sharing, he's going to be like, dude, I know you had that really big business decision that could have ruined your whole life if you did the wrong thing. Or I saw when you chose to step out in faith and leave a job because they told you that God wasn't welcome. You know, what was that like for you? That's not killing a giant, but in this culture, how many of us are fighting big giants nowadays? How many of them are around for us to fight? For us, giants look different, right? They're not carrying a big spear and a sword and a shield and all that. They're decisions about leaving a job without having another one because someone told you God's not welcome. That's a giant. Like, I could have stayed and been a coward and just, well, I'm going to look for another. No, you just have to quit in that moment if somebody tells you that. But I want to have Abraham and David and all these other dudes and dudettes in the Bible. Like, I want to know Jael. Do you guys, who knows anything about Jael? Old Testament, Book of Judges, I think. You guys need to look her up. She killed a dude with a tent peg through his skull. Like, I wanted to name a kid after that, but I couldn't, like, tell my wife, hey, this is why. I mean, that's awesome, right? And I couldn't sell that name to my wife. So, but I want to talk to her. And I want her to have questions for me too. So are we living just like safe, boring lives? Or are we living lives where maybe people who have been through some stuff might find it remotely interesting to hear how we followed God in this day and age and how they followed in their day and age? So point it up here, I guess. Okay, so do you guys know what the word gospel means? Good news, yes. Yeah, and it basically is the same word, I think, that is translated evangelism or something to that effect. And it just means good news. So this is the story that we should be sharing, right? Our lives compared to this story are really, like, you're going to live, you're going to have experiences, you're going to affect this world, and then you're going to die a physical death. And if the world continues to spin before Jesus comes back, 2 million years from now, nobody's going to know who you are. Nobody's going to know that you ever existed, ever. There's not even going to be a memory of you on this planet with people who are still walking it, right? I know that sounds really depressing, but what it really should do is say, well, I only got a little bit of time to make an impact, so I might as well do something with that time. However, this story is always going to be there. It's never going to go away. And the reason is because the one who's the star of the story is still around, and he's never going to die. He's going to continue to introduce himself to people left and right, and this story lives on. And we get to be a part of it, and we get to share it with other people. What is the good news? Like, somebody want to break it down quick and fast for me? Anybody? The Bible. In what sense?
All the contents, all the words, the black ones, the red ones, everything.
Okay. In the New Testament, they were sharing the gospel, and the good news for them, what did that mean?
That means the actual stuff that Jesus said, all the red words for us.
Sure. The things that Jesus said. The good news is this. We suck as people, and we deserve what we get, right? We're all sinners. The good news is that God sent his son Jesus to die for our sins, and that he rose from the dead, and because of all that, we can believe in him, and now we get to be with God forever. That's the good news. As simple as it gets. That's the story that they were starting to share in the New Testament that we get to read about. So before Jesus left, he had something that's known as the Great Commission. And it says, then the 11 disciples went to Galilee, to the mountain where Jesus had told them to go. When they saw him, they worshipped him, but some doubted. Then Jesus came to them and said, all authority in heaven and on earth has been given to me. Therefore go and make disciples of all nations, baptizing them in the name of the Father and the Son and the Holy Spirit, and teaching them to obey everything I've commanded you. And surely I'm with you always to the very end of this age. I find it interesting in this, and I just noticed it like literally right now. In verse 17, they saw him and they worshiped him, but some doubted. How do you doubt when you see Jesus literally risen from the dead and everybody's worshiping him? I appreciate the Bible puts stuff like in it, because that to me screams a little bit more truthful than oh, and everybody believed every time, all the time. Like, that doesn't ring true, right? So that's one of the reasons why I can read something like this. Find it hard to believe people doubted, but if it's in there, then that means some people doubted. I don't understand it. But that also means you can tell people night and day about Jesus, and that doesn't mean they're going to believe you. You can tell them all the cool stories of how God's been in your life, all that stuff, and they're still going to doubt. I do want to look briefly at the Great Commission. I want to give you guys time in small groups. I know I took it away from you a couple weeks ago. I'm going to try to give it all back to you tonight. So I'm going to kind of blaze through this, and I want to spend some time on the paper that I handed to you guys. So the Great Commission, go and make disciples of all nations, which basically means spreading the good news to everyone. Making a disciple is teaching them to walk in the way, not disciples of you, but disciples of Jesus, right? So teaching them to walk in the way that Jesus did and to learn from him. Baptize them in the name of the Father, Son, and the Holy Spirit, which is an invitation for those people to become part of God's bigger story, part of the spiritual family. Teach them all that Jesus said and did, goes along with making disciples. And then I like that Jesus put this, remember that he's with you always. So you're never alone in that task. When you're telling, let's say that Daniel was telling a friend a story about me, and people's like, yeah, that's not true. Does that say anything about Daniel? It says they don't believe this story about me. It doesn't say anything about him. We think, and this is where focusing on whose story are you telling, the nerves come in when I'm going to tell somebody about Jesus and I'm worried they're going to not like me. What does Jesus' story have to do with you in that moment? That's the question you want to ask. I'm telling them about Jesus. You might not like what I just said, but that has nothing, it does have something to do with you if Jesus is a part of you. But we should be able to try our best to get out of the way in those moments and realize if they reject you because of that, they're rejecting Jesus, and really that means you're also not welcome at the same time. So another thing we can ask is, why do we even bother? Somebody's going to tell them. They can Google. If they want to know about Jesus, they could just Google it. If they want to know that God's real, they can just Google all that stuff, right? I Google everything, even how to fix a flat tire, apparently. That's not how Jesus set it up. We're going to have all the coolest internets and Wi-Fi's and all that stuff, whatevers, but God doesn't want you just to let people figure it out on their own. Do you realize God likes working with you? He set this whole thing up, one, for us to need to be a community of some kind or another, and then he enjoys working with you. He doesn't need you, but God has chosen to need us to get his stuff done on this earth. He could have done all this without us, but God likes to partner with us on purpose, which is cool. That's why we get to be a part of his story. That's what I mean when I say that. You can be a part of his story for other people in their life, which I think is super cool. But it's more than just words, right? Like, have you ever met a kid who said all this stuff, but then you're like, he doesn't do anything he says or anything she says. It's always, she'll tell you this. You probably think your parents do this. They'll tell you something, but you see them do something else. There are some things that's just because they're your parents and they're older and they can do that, right? But there are other things that just gets annoying. Oh, don't curse, but then you hear your parent curse. Like, I don't care how old you are. That shouldn't really ever change, right? Like, if they're going to tell you not to curse, they also shouldn't use those words. It's hypocritical. It also makes you think less of them. So your actions matter. And I want to get into this a little bit. You guys know branding? Do you know what branding is? Yeah? What's your brand? If you want to be a YouTube influencer, whatever. If you want to be an influencer, you're going to have a brand, right? So you need to be clear about what that brand is, right? Are those on brand? Hey, to some. But if you're Ford Is that what you want to push? Right? Like that stuff is, that kind of branding would be confusing to people, and it would turn them off to your product. If that was literally Diet Coke's name for their Diet Coke, people would be like, why would I drink that? Maybe I'm a Pepsi person. I don't know. It's confusing to people. If you went into McDonald's and you heard death metal playing over their PA system, it might be awesome, but it doesn't gel with what their brand feels like, right? They have a clown for a mascot, right? They have a clown for a mascot. If you walked in and you saw this dude, and then you heard Pantera or whatever current day death metal band there is, that's from way back, Pantera's. But if you heard that playing, you would think, who do you expect you would see in there? Whole families, like entire families of people, or Marilyn Manson and all his or her or whatever buddies, right? Like there would be a very specific group of people coming into that restaurant. And it's not what McDonald's is all about, which is why this dude isn't their mascot. Their regular mascot is already creepy enough. This guy would take it next level. Okay, so questions you want to ask yourself. What kind and whose story do your words and your actions tell? In other words, if you were promoting a brand with your life and the story you're telling, what brand is it? Is it death metal McDonald's, or is it, trying to be all about Jesus while here's the thing. People want to pick faults. They want to say, oh, you're not perfect. You talk about Jesus, but you do everything wrong. No, duh. That's why I need Jesus. So don't sell yourself as, I am perfect because I know God and love God, right? You have to let people know the truth in the story. Jesus didn't die to make you perfect. I mean, he died for you to be perfect. But that doesn't mean you're going to do everything perfectly all the time. You don't become a perfect person instantly where you do nothing wrong. So don't act like it. That is your words and actions lining up against the gospel, saying something else. What do your actions say about your beliefs? And then here's a question you all want to start asking yourself. Is this really the story you want to tell with your life? You guys are at an age right now where either you've already started figuring it out, or you're starting to realize, I don't have to believe everything that I've been taught up to this point. I was in your seats when I realized I don't have to believe this stuff. And I asked myself, well, why do you believe it? And I only had one answer, and you guys have heard me say it, because Mama told me to. That's weak. That means I was riding on my mom's faith coattails. And you don't need your mommy and daddy's faith anymore. You need your own, right? And you need to grow that and practice and walk in it and fumble and get up again and let Jesus help you. But the story that you're living now will impact your future. And there are some things that you can do that cannot be undone. There's a lot of things you can do that can't be undone. And you need to stop and ask yourself before you engage in anything that would fit that bill, is this really what I want part of my story to be like? And don't assume you can be like Jonathan, I can totally mess up and do all that dumb stuff because that makes a really great story later. There might not be a later. Like, I probably should have died a few times over. And I just thank God that he had a different plan for me. But there are plenty of people who die before that later comes. So don't think, I'm just going to party now, I'm going to do this now, and later I'll get serious about God. That attitude is not one that's going to work. It just isn't. Okay. So this series was about being an influencer, right? If you want to be an influencer, like a real influencer that matters beyond this planet, beyond your lifespan, beyond the memory of you, you can have influence that outlives anyone ever knowing about you. But it's not because you're telling your story and how great your story is. It's because you're telling God's story, and that's a story that's eternal, and it's never going to die. First time I gave my testimony when I came out of jail, it was to a youth group. And I told a lot of the same stuff that you guys have heard. And I was angry at the end. I was like, those punks weren't listening. Like, I felt like an old man. And that was before I was an old man. That was a while ago. And it took me a while to realize that what I just did was I just told my story and all the dumb stuff I've been through. And I realized that while I still said the God stuff, I felt in my heart, you just told your story, John, and that's why they weren't listening. Everybody does dumb stuff. All you did was said, hey, I'm just like everybody else, except a little older than all of you. But, that's not compelling. But how God has worked in my life, I will share that with passion all day, every day. And I've said this to you guys a lot. You want to have those moments in your life. So one thing that I think is cool, all the stories in the Bible, how many of them are David lived a perfect life and nothing wrong ever happened and God made him king and nothing bad happened and it was all good all the time. Is there a single story in the Bible like that? Any? Jesus lived a perfect life. It wasn't all good for him either. Like, he died. People killed him, like, on purpose because he was Jesus. So there's not a single story in the Bible where it's great. Anybody who lives that kind of life, you're never going to read about them, ever, because it's boring. I mean, that's why when things go wrong, for myself, I'm like, if everything was perfect, life would be really boring, I guess. And if life was perfect, we would never feel the need for Jesus, right? So you have to realize your mistakes are part of your story. That doesn't mean go get yourself some mistakes so you can have more Jesus in your story. That just means find the ones you've already made, let Jesus fill those cracks, and make something that's beautiful and share that. Yeah. So what I wanted to do is have you guys, do we have writing utensils? Pretty much? Okay. While your story's going to change over time, you may end up coming back to, you might come back to this paperwork, this concept of what's on this paper, where your story's going to change over time. Your story might change based on the crowd you're talking to, right? Like, I'm not going to talk to a bunch of grown adults about, when I was a teenager just like you, right? Like, no, you're talking to a different group. Maybe you can share your life when you're a teenager, but you're not trying to relate to them as teenagers because that's not where they're at in life, right? So your story might change and grow, and you're going to have to update the way you think about things. On the paper, there is an I am statement. I want you to spend a minute or so, focus on who you are, and then you're going to write down words that best describe who you are and what you're known for and who you know yourself to be. What's the best part of you, right? That's the stuff you want to write down. Don't write down, I'm a loser. You're not. Those are lies, and I'm not asking you to write lies on your paper. I want you to write down powerful statements about who you are as a person and who you think God sees you to be. These should be good, positive comments. Don't list your flaws right here, right? List the strengths that God's given you. If you don't, I know this is like spur of the moment, so if you're like, this is not something I can just pull out and write down in 2 seconds, take this home with you and think about it. You should be talking about this in your small groups in a couple minutes as well. The next thing you're going to write down is who are the people who you have influence of? Who's in your life right now that you can impact? You can help them, you can serve them, speak to them, and then you're going to write that down. Like what? Yes, people who God has put in your life for you to have the power of influence in, which is automatically your family, and then anybody else who's in your life. And you guys know you can influence your parents too, right? Like, I don't know all of you, and I don't know all of your parents, but if you have parents who aren't believers, you better believe that God put you in their life for them. And I can say that with all confidence. God has given your parents the biggest gift in a child that believes in him, and you can live and act a certain way that hopefully will bring your parents closer to God, and you can never give up praying for them, which is ultimately what you should be doing every day. And then the last thing is, what is your message, right? What's your brand message? What do you have to tell other people? And I don't need you to put, oh, just believe in Jesus. What is it that moves you in this world? Like Ellen DeGeneres, be good to people. That's her message. She says that all the time. I would take it, be good to people because God's been so good to me, right? Like, you do need to make sure you're telling God's story in your message, but it doesn't have to be straight up, believe in Jesus because he died for your sins. That's my message. That's all I got. You have way more than that. God gave you influence with a group of people that he didn't give me influence with. And the older I get, the less influence I probably have with the same people you guys do, right? Because of the relatability and all of that stuff. So maybe your message could be like, this world blows. I'm so glad God is real. Or whatever, right? Like, that could totally be your message. And then that should be something that you develop over time that you could speak about a little more eloquently than that, right? Okay, so you guys do need to know, you have the power to influence people. You just do. I don't care who you are. If you're a human being with a heartbeat, you are influencing somebody somewhere, and you're growing a story that is your life as it interacts with this world, and hopefully as you allow God to interact with you. That's what you got, and it's something that's going to grow and get better and better as a story. I'm not saying life's going to be better and better for you. But the things that you can have with you, peace and love and joy, that can get better no matter what happens to you. There's some terrible things in this world, but they can't touch that stuff, not when God gives it to you, right? So if you have questions, I want to ask you, but take it to the small groups. Good, and you guys can talk about this. For small group leaders, I do have handouts for you too. All right, do it.